Kahoot's a game-style platform that allows you to pre-assess and formatively assess your students in an engaging and fun way. Kahoot's interface is user-friendly and simplistic. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to get started with Kahoot, create games, and learn the different features the platform has to offer. Let's get started. First, you'll want to sign up at Kahoot.com. You'll choose your account type, and you'll describe your workplace. Now you can sign up with either your email and a password, or you can choose to sign up with Google or Microsoft. Since I already have an account, I'm going to go back to Kahoot.com and sign in. Once you sign in, you'll be brought to the Kahoot's main interface. Here you'll notice that you have Kahoot News in the middle. At the bottom, you'll have the top picks for Kahoots that are already pre-made. On the right-hand side, you'll have your Kahoots and the latest reports that you ran. At the top of the page, you'll see Home, Discover, Kahoots, and Reports. Today we'll go through all 4 of these sections, and I'll also be showing you how to create your own Kahoot. If you click on Discover, you'll be taken to a page where you can search through hundreds of pre-made Kahoots. You can search by category on the left, or you can scroll through all the different Kahoots that are popular in the middle, or at the top, you can use the search bar to search. If I'm teaching a lesson on digital citizenship, I might want to find a Kahoot to go along with that. So I type digital citizenship into the search bar, and then it populates all the topics for me about digital citizenship. You'll notice there are multiple different Kahoots on this topic. I can go through these different Kahoots, and I can also favorite the ones that I like the most to use later. If you click on the Kahoot tab at the top, it takes you to all the Kahoots that you have created and allows you to manage those Kahoots here. You'll notice that I have all of my Kahoots here. On the left-hand side, I can go to my favorites, and I'll see all of the ones that I favorite, including the one that I just favorited a second ago. I can see any of the Kahoots that are shared with me, and I can also see any of the drafts that I'm still working on currently. I can also favorite any of my own Kahoots, and those will also show up in my favorites tool. Now let's check out the reports section. The first thing that you're going to want to do when you get to the reports section is you're going to want to select the report that you want to go into. So I'm going to go down to my Park Review Kahoot. And here is the report's homepage. Here you'll notice that you have a summary of your report and the game that you just played with your students. Here I see that 62% of my students got the questions correct overall in the game. Down here I can see that there were 2 difficult questions that the majority of my students missed. If you notice here, it'll say a question is labeled difficult if 35% of the participants answer it incorrectly. Over here you'll see any students that need help, and if you have the advanced version of Kahoot, then you can also quickly create a Kahoot based on those questions and those students that need help. You can also see that one Leonte student did not finish. Now, there are some more options here in the review of the reports. If I click on players, you'll notice that all of my players of the game are listed here, and I can see how many answers they got correct based on a percentage. If I click into a player, I can see that the questions individually, and if a student got them incorrect or correct, how much time it took, and the points that they earned for those questions. This allows me to go back and review with those students the questions that they got wrong, or create a separate Kahoot for students that all missed the same question. Going back, I can also then click into questions. Here I'll see all the questions that are part of my Kahoot, and on the right-hand side, I'll see the percentage of students that got those questions correct. If I click into a question, it'll list my students for me, and also if they had the question correct or incorrect, how much time it took. So this is a different way of getting into seeing what your students are doing. So if I'm noticing that question number 4, only 31% of my students got that question correct, I can click into it, and then I can also see which students got that incorrect, and I can go back and review that question with my students. All right, now let's get back to the home page. Oh, feedback, before I move on, feedback. This is a spot where if the students at the end of your Kahoot provided feedback on that specific Kahoot, you would see that feedback here. And lastly, you have a few report options. Here you can download your report, you can print it, you can go to other reports, you can view the Kahoot, or you can delete this report that you had created. Okay. Now that we've covered how to navigate the interface and all the different features that Kahoot has to offer, let's get started with creating our own Kahoot. So we're going to go back to our home, and at the top right-hand corner, you'll see that you have a Create button. Click Create, and then you're going to click into Create a new Kahoot. All right, so the first thing you'll want to do when you get to your home page is you'll see that you have a question already started for you. So you just simply have to start typing your question in. So for me, we'll do a sample question. Where would you find a polar bear? Then below you need to put in your answer choices. Canada, Africa, India, China. After you enter all of your answer choices, you need to then select the correct answer. Canada. Now, you have a few other options here before you move on. You can change the time limit. So right now, your students have 20 seconds to read and answer the question. You can make that 30 seconds, you can make it a minute, you can make it 5 seconds, whatever you feel is appropriate here. You can also change the point values. And then you can also sometimes, if you want your question to have more than one answer, you can select the multi-select option. You may also add an image to your question by going to the free image library and choosing one of those images. You can have the image be revealed as the timer goes down, or you can go back and upload an image from your computer and have an image put in for you. And then same options with your reveal. And lastly, you could add a YouTube link here, which will play a video that could go along with your question. Once you're finished with that question, you simply move on to the left side and you add a new question. So I'm hitting add a question, and up pops all the options for questions that I have. I can add a true or false, an open-ended, a puzzle, a poll, or a slide. So for this question, let's do a true or false. Same process, you type in your question. Is the United States located above Canada? Then you're going to select your answer, false. You know that it's located below Canada. And then we can change our time limits, add our image, or our YouTube link. If we're finished with that, we move on to the next question. Another option you have when adding questions is to use the question bank, and that will provide you with a multiple already pre-made questions that you can dump into your Kahoot. So if I go to the question bank and I want to know what is an adjective, then it'll search all the results for what is an adjective. You can see here that this one has only 2 questions, so maybe you would use that for a class that needs differentiation. This one has 4 options. You can also see that some have pictures and some do not. So then when you choose the one that you want, I want this one because it has 4 options. I can see that it's a multi-select, and I'm going to add. Then you close out, and you can see that now that question is added into my Kahoot. The question is there, the answers are already there. I can still change the time, the point values. I could even change the selection. Once I have my Kahoot completely built, all of my questions are in and I'm ready to start, then what I need to do is hit done. You also may choose to preview your Kahoot before hitting done to see what it looks like to the students. You can see the difference between if a picture is added or a picture is not added. The basic Kahoot background will be there. Now I'm going to select done. I need to add a title to my Kahoot, and if I want to add a description, teaches teachers how to use the platform. Again, this is not necessary to add, but you do need to have a title. Then I click continue. You have the option here to test it out to see how it works first, to play it now with your students, or to share it with others via a link. If you're not ready to do any of that, you simply click Done, and it takes you back to your Kahoot main page and to your management section for your Kahoots. You'll see that I have my tutorial here, and I'm ready to play. Now, in order for your students to play, they need to go to kahoot.it. So students will type in kahoot.it, and they'll come to the main page where they're going to be asked to enter a game or pin. So when you're ready to play on your screen, you'll simply select play, and then you'll decide, do you want to teach where you're playing it live or virtually, or do you want to assign it to individual students to work on by themselves and submit to you? Today we're going to do a live session, teach. Now you have a few more options when you get to this page. You can choose the classic version, which allows you to have your players versus each other. So one-to-one, everyone's on their own device. Or you can have them team up on a shared device and work in groups to select the answers. You also have a few options below. You can do a personalized learning option where it allows students to go back and practice any difficult questions that they had. And you can also create a friendly nickname generator to avoid having students put inappropriate nicknames into the Kahoot. You can change the music, you can randomize your questions. So you have a few options down below that you can filter out some things for yourself. Today we're going to do a classic game, one-to-one. When I click on this, it's going to bring up the Kahoot page for me. And also now it's going to give me the Kahoot code. 6015210 is the code that students need to enter to join into the game. And I'm going to show you what that'll look like on your screen. So students will go back to their page, they'll enter in the code, and then it asks them for a nickname. Here's where you might want to decide to assign students a nickname or have them use a student ID or put in their real name. It just depends how comfortable your students are with their names being out there, but you do want to be able to analyze your report results, so you want to make sure that you know who your students are in the game. So you type in your name, and then you're in. Now the student's in the waiting section for the game to start. If they're green, then they're good. If I go back to my teacher game board, you can see that the student is here waiting. And as soon as all of your students populate in this section, then you may start the game and it will play. Once finished, you can go back to your Kahoot page. You'll see that the game has been played and your reports will be ready to analyze. I hope this tutorial helped you to get an overview of all that Kahoot has to offer. Kahoot's a great tool for creating fun, engaging assessments for students. You can create a Kahoot as a pre-assessment, an anticipatory guide, or a quick exit ticket at the end of a lesson. The options are limitless, and I hope that you're excited to play around with this new tool and use it with your students. Thank you so much.